Teachers of Reddit, what is the craziest thing you have seen on a student's social media? Speaking for my wife here, she was on the bus with 30 high school students on their way to a field trip. She was trying to share something with a coworker over AirDrop and her phone started getting flooded with nude photos of students. Apparently there is an option on AirDrop to insta-share photos with anyone else who has AirDrop on. Goes without saying she freaked out and shut her phone off. Then had a long talk with them afterwards about how dangerous that is. Well, I don't follow any students on Facebook, but one of my coworkers deals with kids in a different way and is more tuned in on their parents on social media. Told me her elementary schooler's mom went on Facebook Live, naked from the waist down, spread eagle telling people to look at her house pussy. Mom is a cokehead, apparently. A few years ago, a school near where I teach had an epidemic of kids exchanging nudes. From stories that I heard, the kids were trading them like baseball cards and students that didn't participate were harassed until they did. If I remember correctly, I think almost the entire football team was kicked off the team and many students throughout the school were charged with possessing child. Not me, but my fiancé used to work the IT department of a school. Sometimes they got reports from students or teachers that suspect there's something on a student's school iPad. All I can say is, students, for the love of God, please stop taking nudes on school equipment. A friend of mine who is a teacher found a live stream of his science class. I have a girl that is 14 and writes a lot of amazing creepypasta stories. Like this girl has spookiness down. I love the work she does. Sadly, she had detailed plans on a message board about slaughtering her little sister and her adopted family and possessed the means to do it in person. I work in a mental institution that's also a school. Either way, she's super cool. She's one of my favorites. Hopefully she doesn't get out and actually kill someone, but you never know with kids like her. 8th graders posted his wake and bake session on Snapchat. Someone showed the dean and now he has it saved on his phone. For the rest of the year that kid was the most straight-laced dude. Literally think the dean was blackmailing him into being a better student. Lol. Not me but my wife. A student posted a note on Snapchat. Another student showed it to my wife. She ran to the front office and called 911. Kid was home with his mom and had overdosed in his room. Kid was taken to a hospital and survived. Saved his life. Not a teacher, but some kid at my teen's school posted naked pictures of him being with another student's mom. Both were naked in the photo. Small town. Word travels to everyone. The mom and her husband got a divorce and they all moved out of town. Was a wild ride in our little town. The kid had just turned 18 at the time of the photo. I had a student tell me that he had to go out and look for his roommate's body and therefore would not be in class, and that his roommate had been in a kayaking incident. Now, when a student dies, we are told, at some past institutions this was not the case. For example, if you had a student from your course commit you were just supposed to act like nothing was wrong and that nothing had happened and that they had never been there. So quite honestly was like, okay, this might be true, or dude might be lying. It was a few years ago and so I got on Facebook, found the student, and identified the roommate. Unfortunately it was true, and fortunately he was not the one that found the body, and the announcement came out slightly thereafter. I was able to excuse the absence without further evidence. Which is always a nice thing to be able to do for somebody. The crazy thing, though, was that his roommate's quote was, "What doesn't me makes me stronger." It was uncomfortable. Not exactly social media originally, but it definitely ended up there. I teach high school and the students were talking about a middle school student who wrote a novel. It turned out to be an extremely graphic fan fiction of two of the male middle school teachers. The girl that wrote it was in 7th grade. We are talking about full-on novel. Around 200 pages and 13 chapters. Supposedly it is only book 1 in the series. The crazy thing is, my student showed me one paragraph before I knew what it was, and it was hands down the best technical writing of any student I have ever had. Again, I teach high school. She was in the 7th grade. Unbelievably well written, and unbelievable a 7th grader was able to describe things with such disturbing detail. Fighting videos like I'm talking fighting and teachers in the background watching the whole thing happen without doing a thing to separate it. Some kids were so ecstatic to show me too. What a weird world. So, in my school district, teachers can lose their jobs for following students on social media. That being said, sometimes a student will get worried about something that they see posted and will bring me a screenshot of it. So, due to that, the craziest thing I've ever seen was one of our students pointing a gun at the camera and threatening to turn the walls of the school red with blood. I took the student who reported it to the front office and made a full report to administration. Never saw the kid who posted that again. Not a teacher, but in year 10 my teacher reported this girl who was always quiet for having a fully lewd Belle Delphine-esque Instagram and Patreon. One student created multiple fake Facebooks with the names of their classmates. They started a group chat between these fake profiles and would act out dramatic things, someone confessing a crush, someone saying they hated their best friend. They'd screenshot clips of these fake chats and send it to real people. Real-life drama based on the fake drama would erupt in school. These teachers at my school found a kids meme page, and keep in mind was a preppy stuck-up school. Anyway, the meme account had the usually slightly edgy kind of content, but the school acted as if it were a hate crime. Parents were called in. There was a whole school assembly on social media and the appropriate content that should be posted. The school went as far as suspending the kids behind the account for 1 week and giving detentions to every kid who liked the memes. The whole ordeal was just stupid and left me wondering if teachers even cared about the kids who were very clearly smashed on drugs. When I was in middle school, there was a trend where we made fake Facebook events and invited a bunch of people. One time my brother or one of his friends made one that was called Gay Lesbian Orgy in friend's name's house and invited a bunch of people. He invited one of my friend's girl around 15 years old that went to a different school and barely knew the people involved in the event, and she clicked she would attend without paying much attention to the name. A few days later, one of her teachers approached her after class to have a very awkward conversations along the lines of, "I know you might be struggling with figuring out your sexuality, but taking part in things like that could be very dangerous, etc." My friend was very confused. Not me, but my GF. Principal called all teachers to talk about something a couple of students had done. They were, I assume, BF and GF, and stayed in the classroom during break. She went down on him, with one hand on his and the other filming for social media, Snapchat I guess. The security camera caught it too. Didn't happen at my school but happened in the county I worked in. Kids got hold of a teacher's cell phone and airdropped her nudes to the whole school, and the kids posted them all over the Facebook and Instagram. IDK if that teacher continues working at that school or not, but I wouldn't have been able to. Not a teacher, but the teacher found out about it and had to deal with it. Some girl wrote a long and detailed multi-part fanfic about some guys in the school, using full real names. My old high school has a surprisingly good, wholesome meme IG. Some of the younger teachers started submitting memes about their co-workers, and when I met them at a bar once, they were dying laughing and bragging about how funny the students are. I had to stop teaching photography in middle school because of the photos the kids would upload. Sometimes they would just give me their memory card without ever checking what was on it. I was teaching 8th grade English in a low-income, high-crime area. We had one student who was really hard. He was loud, obnoxious, rude and downright mean to most of the staff and other students. For some reason I really liked him and he felt the same. Always respectful to me and often helped me keep the class in line. The other teachers, students would always make comments about how we will see him up for one day, and I would stick up for him. He came from a really bad home life most were not fully aware of. Anyway, he friended me on Facebook at the end of the school year and I accepted. About 4 years later I see an update posted by him. He posted quite a bit from a couple nights before that, simply showed a gun and bullets with the caption, "Some bitches are going to pay. Getting my turf back," or something like that. Anyway, long story short, he was involved in a drive-by and a 17-year-old kid who was at a rival's party. He was not the intended victim. Anyway, when the news ran the story and showed his Facebook post as what helped the police find him, my blood ran cold. I wish I would have seen the post earlier or could have done something. He was sentenced to 20 years since they couldn't prove who pulled the trigger. Still makes me sad. I really thought he would break the cycle of poverty and prison that has run through his family line forever.